What is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, I'm going to be rambling. You guys like when I ramble? I'm going to ramble. Today's topic is going to be on recent God releases. Now, as many of you guys know, as I've tweeted, stated in my streams, probably talked about it in a bunch of YouTube videos, I love the direction that supports have been taken in the recent, probably 2 years, ever since Atlas, Maui, Charon, all super sick supports. I love how they play. They're all super unique. They all have super, good niches. They don't just dominate at all points in the game. They're cool, and I enjoy them. And I think Hi-Rez has got Guardians done correctly. I really like where they've gone with these Guardians. They're really fun to play. And then you look at their other classes. Mages, Ixchel and Yu Wong. Now, in their defense, I really like their mages too. I think Ixchel and Yu Wong are super fun. I think they play unique. Yu Wong, when he originally came out, I didn't love him as a character, but I've really grown to love him. I think he is super safe. He has a lot of poke damage. He clears well. I really love his Dow now that they've buffed it to, instead of sitting out of combat for 15 seconds for 1 stack of Dow, it's sitting out of combat for a whole lot less, and you get 2 stacks of Dow, meaning you're allowed to spam your abilities slightly more, but not as much as other gods are, but they're just more effective as abilities when they are upgraded through that Dow. So Guardians, 10 out of 10. Love their recent designs. Mages, Ixchel, Yu Wong. I love them. 9 out of 10. Maybe not as much as the Guardians. I feel like the Guardians are a lot more unique and they play a lot differently. But the Mages are really close to it. Now let's take a look at the Warriors. Surtur and Shiva. Really, in my opinion, mediocre characters. I think Shiva's fine. I think Surtur, on the other hand, is very boring and repetitive, and there's one way to play it. You just sit and you kind of stack your one in lane. There's really not a ton to it. There doesn't feel like there's a ton of skill expression. Like Charon, Maui, Ixchel, Yu Wong, there's a lot of skill expression. You can combo slightly differently with your kit. They play differently than other warriors. Surtur just kind of wins laning phase and then falls off and doesn't really do anything outside of that. Shiva, you spam your abilities as soon as they come up. There's really no secret to using them. Can't really use the passive. Like the passive for Shiva, if there was more depth to it, more ways to kind of maybe switch a stance or change Bliss or extend Bliss's duration or Destruction's duration, so there's more of like a mini game in Shiva's kit, I would love that. Surtur, I think it would be really cool for Surtur to be a perma-scaling god. He kind of is right now, but it's just so hard. Every stack is very weird to get to. It's fine. It's a way to do it. And it's the same thing as kind of like Charon. The one thing I don't like about Charon's kit is how his passive scales. You hit it very easily, and then you're just done with the passive kind of for the rest of the game. Surtur's kind of the opposite. It's not really perma-stacking because it's so ineffective for the first, 100 stacks. And then once you're starting to get to like 150, then it starts to become effective. It's adding 3 damage times your passive stacks, however many you have. So if you have 100, you're getting 300 damage from it, which is, you start to get up there, that starts to become a lot of damage, but it's a melee auto. So the only way to get it is by getting on top of the enemy, and you have no dash to do it. Strange interaction, hard to do. You rely on blink to get there, or you could try to ult in, but your ult is super slow. It's pretty easy to outrun. So it's just meh. I don't know what I'd do with Surtur, really. I think the kit is just kind of boring, monotonous. I think he is just a not great design. Again, I don't mean to bash or anything. This is just my opinion. Maybe somebody out there really likes this opinion or really likes this character, really likes Surtur, how he plays. They like how he plays differently than other warriors or whatever. But to me, it just feels like you're just playing another warrior. Shiva's at least a little different. You're playing slightly differently, but I just wish they did more with his passive. Now let's talk about hunters. Martikaris and Ishtar. These characters just do way too much stuff with very little downside. I understand hunters are not easy to make. It basically comes down to, do their autos do damage? Yes, they do damage. They're good characters. No, they don't do damage. They're bad characters. Let's just take a look at all their kits. Starting with Ishtar, Mark of Vengeance. Her one, when Ishtar drops below 75% health, she marks the enemy god that most recently damaged her for 10 seconds, and each time she deals damage to the marked god with a basic attack, she gains a stacking attack speed buff. If Ishtar receives a kill or assist on the marked god, she gains a movement speed buff, and the passive has a 20-second cooldown. Fine. No problem with this. Attack speed buff when she's hitting the enemy, movement speed when she gets a kill. No problem with this. This is fine. The first ability that I have a problem with. Imbue arrows. Basically just before they buffed Hachiman, her one was a combination of Silva auto attacks that did extra damage. I don't even have a auto attack god to talk about with her spread shot damage, because her spread shot damage is just 132% of your basic attack damage onto an objective. The amount of damage and DPS you have is insane. It is more than Cern passive auto at this point. And this is just in her one. Just in her one. Her 3 She gets attack speed and Hachiman autos, and it's not limited to 4. And this is on a 9-second cooldown lasting 6 seconds. 9-second cooldown lasting 6 seconds. It is absolutely insane how bloated, overtuned, obnoxious this ability is. Just as like, oh, you hunters do this? Oh, I do all this better. So why play these when you can just play this? She's finally came back down to earth because she's taken a few nerfs. Her abilities are no longer that OP. Obviously, Marty was added into the game who just kind of does what she does even better. And then Hachiman got absolutely massive buffs that kind of pushed him into meta also. But don't get it twisted. Ishtar's not bad right now. And honestly, she's probably just sitting in the side, waiting for her time to come where people are like, oh yeah, Ishtar's a god. I can just play her and win lane and also fight on objectives and also have CC and also be somewhat safe. She has Blades of Retribution is a cripple into a stun on a 90-second cooldown that gives her CC immunity. Her one not great ability is Jolt, but this is still a massive amount of burst that she can crit off of. Ishtar is a completely bloated character, and we haven't even talked about the most bloated hunter they've added, Martikaris. Now, what is this god supposed to do other than be the best character in the game? Monstrosity. Early game Martikaris, whatever. Doesn't get much value from the passive. Should sometimes just gets an attack speed buff. Whatever. Late game Marty gets 21% physical lifesteal, 21% physical ability lifesteal, and 35% attack speed for 6 seconds. And hitting autos or hitting abilities extends it up to 12 seconds. So probably over the course of an entire fight, you can have Monstrosity stacked for your attack speed. Acid Rain. At level 2, clears archers with Bluestone. At level 2, clears archers with Bluestone. Also has super long distance. You can't stop him from farming with it. On a 14-second cooldown, that also slows. Poisoned Barb. Anti-heal. A root. Explodes. You don't even have to hit it and just proc it and you get the anti-heal and you get the projectile damage. On an 11-second cooldown. And those are just his worst 2 abilities. Well, just wait. Stalk Prey. 180-second invis patches that he can move on a 15-second cooldown, granting 30% movement speed for 3 seconds. I don't even want to get started on how busted this ability is, and the fact that it has not been nerfed to a point of balance says so much about this character. 180-second duration on a 15-second cooldown. You have to ward the area to get the vision of it. If you ward in the patch, he can move the patch just slightly outside of it. And then again, you cannot see inside of it. And you're forced to ward either inside of it or you have to give up all this pressure around this area because he put a 15-second cooldown there. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, okay. And he only gets 30% movement speed. It's okay. It's okay. Surely his ult then is not very good, right? His ultimate is a long duration, high damage, prot shredding, CC immune, untargetable, 90-second ability. It is mind-blowing that this ability and his third ability have not been gutted to a point of balance. I've said that once and I said it with the third ability, but I'm saying it again. It is mind-blowing that these abilities have not been nerfed to a point of balance. They are unbalanced innately. The numbers have to be so bad on these abilities for them to be bad. And honestly, I don't think there's a number that can be bad for this. Maybe 7-second duration on a 30-second cooldown. Maybe this is bad. But this is still something where you're just getting that vision control and that zone control just from a 15-second cooldown. This is just AMC ult on steroids with survivability. And let's keep in mind, all of these abilities get lifesteal for Monstrosity. And with his current build, Trance, Soul Eater, Fail Nut, Crusher, Heartseeker, and Bluestone upgrade, he is one-shotting you. He is perma-sustaining. You cannot 1v1 him because he just goes into the air and you can't trade back onto him. There is very, very few times that you can actually win a 1v1 versus Marty. And a lot of those times just come down to his ult being down or his relics being down and you being able to just one-shot him before his ult can get him into the air. It's the same problem that I have with Kama and Freya. Yes, I get it was frustrating where you were getting caught when you were trying to go into the air as Freya and as Kama. But it is even more frustrating trying to hit a Kama or a Freya when they have ult and instantly... It's like they're popping Aegis. Instantly, they're immune to damage. It really is. It's like they have another Aegis. So Marty, you have to get through a Beads. You have to get through an Aegis. And then you have to get through an Aegis that allows him to go into the air and not be CC'd. I hate the ability. I hate the ult. I hate Cam ult. And I hate Frey ult. I hate how they work. They just don't make sense to me. And they aren't balanced in my opinion. Bring back the ability to hit them as they're going into the air. Or be able to CC them and like interrupt it. As is, it is super annoying. Sorry for talking about Cam and Freya. It's just something else that I think is really frustrating with these characters that go into the air and do a ton of damage. I think Martikaris and Ishtar are just complete misses as hunters. And I think they kind of have to go back to like the drawing board with what they're thinking with these characters. There's too much stuff in their kit. They're too bloated and they're way too unexploitable. Lastly, let's talk on assassins. Also, not nearly as bad as the hunters, but I'm really not a fan of Lancelot either. I think his kit is either going to be in a spot where he is uber broken, 1v5, does too much, unkillable, or he's going to be on the other side where he does no damage, he is very easy to kill, and he's just not a good character. And right now, I think he's in the not a good character stage where his numbers have been brought down a lot. He doesn't have a lot of survivability. He doesn't give a lot of damage, but his damage is getting buffed up a little bit. All it takes is just a couple tweaks here and there for Lancelot to be in this right category again where this character's uber busted. I cannot stand him. He is so dumb. How do you fight against him? Solo lane Lancelot, when he came out, was one of the least fun things to play against. He did way too much damage. He was very hard to gank. He was very hard to kill. And then he scaled into the late game because of how strong Bluestone was. Thank goodness Bluestone is nerfed, so at least Lancelot doesn't scale that well. And I don't think his laning phase is as good as it used to be also because his base damage has been lowered. But he's still just not a fun character. I want this next assassin that they're releasing. I've known nothing on him. I've heard he's a magical, like Ao Kuang assassin. I could be wrong. But I want this next assassin to just be this. I'm going to kill one person, and I'm going to try to get out. That is my entire job. Lancelot is I'm going to try to maul the entire enemy team and kill as many of them on the way out. I don't like that. I want my assassins assassinating. We haven't had a true assassin in a long time. I want my hunters to be unique, not just uber bloated. I don't care if the hunter is really not that great, as long as it's unique. Charybdis is a great example of a wonderfully designed hunter. I love how she plays. Her 1, a piercing auto that's on a cooldown that also explodes on contact with walls or gods. Sick. Her 2, while not all that unique, it's a big proc shred, a slow, and it allows her to trade into you or to be able to shred frontliners. Her 3, a really cool survivability option. She can't trade with you while she's in it, but she can use it to dash forward and knock you up and then trade with that, or she can use it to play defensively. Only part I don't really like is her ult. Well, what are you to do? You're not going to get a perfect kit. Still a cool character. I enjoy playing her. I like that. I want them to go back to that. And then the assassin previous to Lancelot was Kleena. I liked Kleena. I think Kleena was cool. She didn't have a ton of CC, but she does good damage. She's pretty hard to deal with. And if she gets a lead, she will just assassinate you and get out. I like that with the assassins. Make more gods that are unique and that do a certain niche well instead of these end-all, be-all type gods that just do everything. That is my talk on these recent gods. I rambled. I talked. Trying to get used to recording and just talking about my thoughts because I know you guys like it. It feels weird sometimes, but there you guys go. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the direction that the current release gods are going? Are you like me? You like some of the classes they feel like are misses? But put it in the comments below. Let me know. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys again next time. Peace.